of September, I've mentioned 158 local government, and meaning that out of 177, the cows should be able to release that money at any time, because they have been told to disburse the funds into the respective schools. So I want to take your advice seriously. Moving forward from next school calendar, we could be able to take that format. But as of this one, I think the remaining few local government, I believe this week it will be done. I thank you.
Let's first Honorable Sungu, let's allow Honorable Muzare, then you conclude.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker, my concern is one. In a district, there are so many schools. You may find a situation that about 3 schools have not been verified. Now, it is affecting the entire district. My worry is, what is the plan for those schools that have verified and have been approved, and they are only...
Honourable Minister, is that true, that you wait for the whole district to first clear? And then number 2, what punitive measures have you put in place for head teachers who are not complying?
Mr. Speaker, my statement is clear. A letter has already been written to all I think the minister has already attached it here. It is written on the 9th of September to all local government accounting officers and the executive director of KCCA. And the heading is Release Advice for First Quarter Term 3 for Financial Year 2024-2025. And I think if, as the minister has presented, if you go through this letter, which has been sent on the 9th of September, the total number of 113 local government, the accounting officers have been ordered to release the funds.
Yes, but Honourable Minister, what Honourable Muzari is saying, that all accounting officers, okay, at least I don't think we have a district that has no single school that has complied. So you are failing to clear that single school which has complied, because the rest of the schools have not complied. So what Honorable Martin Muzari is saying, for you write to accounting officers, for schools which have complied, you release, not districts. This is school-based, it's not district-based. Yes, Honorable.
Let us agree. Honorable Minister, through the Speaker, let us release the funds and the other exercise goes on. Because we need this money to run schools. You have no other shortcut. Finance release the money. You stopped it. Allow this money to be utilized as you look at the teachers and the district leadership who are not carrying out your directives.
Thank you, Honorable.
And lastly, Mr. Speaker, my prayer, and I request you, Mr. Speaker, if it pleases, that you either direct the Committee of Education, we get status of UPE schools in Uganda. On the UPE, let me talk about UPE, I will not go to SE, so that we get a report here and see what we can do. Otherwise, what we are having in our schools, in our constituencies, is appalling. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you. Honourable Minister, would you want to
Mr. Speaker, I want to commit.
Yes.
And I've listened to the logic of the local government as opposed to the schools. And I want to commit that we will look at that and we will implement as per the directive. I thank you.
Thank you.
We will do that immediately,
and a comment
Mr.
on the one of UPE schools. Honorable Sewungu is saying we need a status report of the UPE schools in the country. How much time would you need?
Well, I think you could give us a month. We could look at that and bring the report.
Sorry?
1 month.
1 month.
Thank you.
Yes. Honorable Sewungu has said it's not enough. We give you 2 months. Please. Honorable Sewungu, you don't need to go back on the floor. Just 2 months. And honorable colleagues, when the report comes, it's when we send it to the committee. I cannot send the committee to go looking for a report.
Mr. Speaker, is it okay to have 3 months?
3 months.
Give us time.
3 months granted.
Thank you.
Thank you. Honorable colleagues, for the record, I want the record to be clear. Please. I want the record to be clear on the issue of the total, where the lawyer disagreed with the accountant. I assigned our technical bench to give us the total. So the figure is 298.74, which is exactly the one the accountant, who happens to be a minister, gave. So 1-0 in favor of Honorable Msasuzi. Next item.
Item 3.2, statement by Minister on termination of contracts of part-time teaching staff of Chambogo University and non-payment of their due wages and salaries.
Thank you. Let me first receive a procedure matter from Honorable.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. Mine is related to the report that you requested for on the payroll, regarding the payroll from the Minister of Public Service. Right Honorable Speaker, the report on the consolidated payroll was referred to the Committee of Public Accounts Central. So I would request that our report is also presented, because it's ready. We present it, and also she brings hers, because it's already submitted to your office. I request that it is given priority on the other paper.
Sure, Honorable Chair. What I need, let me look at your report, okay, and then I will guide. But let the minister go on and prepare the statement with regard to what I requested. Honorable Minister for Education.
Thank you so much, Right Honorable Speaker. I stand to present a statement on the non-payment and discontinuation of part-time teaching staff by Chambogo University management. Right Honorable Speaker and honorable members, the Minister of Education and Sports received the concerns raised by Honorable Margaret, the Member of Parliament for Workers, on the non-payment and discontinuation of part-time teaching staff by Chambogo University management. We wish to respond as follows, Mr. Speaker. Number 1, the cost estimated or the cost establishment for Chambogo University is as reflected on Table 1 below. We can see on Table 1 the total number of staff that has been filled as opposed to the established number of 1,390. We have currently only 30% of academic staff that has been filled, meaning that 70% of academic staff position remains vacant. You can also see for the administrative staff as well as for the support staff right over there. Mr. Speaker, number 2, with the current wage of Ugandan shillings 67.17 billion against the costed establishment of Ugandan shilling 191.3 billion, this guarantees just only 35% of the staffing at the university, and it leaves a gap of 65%. Number 3, the teaching staff gap of 70% is filled by searching for part-time staff to undertake the teaching and the learning in the university. In the academic year 2023-2024, Chambogo University employed a total of 1,084 staff across the faculty schools and the learning centers. The wages for the part-time lecturers and technicians is catered for under the vote item for allowances from the non-wage budget line. This is released quarterly, and it suffers from budget cuts. which was worst during the COVID pandemic, during which the university ran 2 academic years with 1 financial year. During the financial year, Mr. Speaker, 2023-2024, the budget line for allowances, which caters for the part-time staff, suffered a budget cut of 2.6 billion. This definitely results in non-payment of part-time teaching staff, which the claims we're talking about, and hence it has accumulated into arrears. The proposed intervention is that the Ministry of Public Service and the Ministry of Finance increases the wage for Kyambogo University so that we are able to fill the critical vacant positions in the approved structure. The areas for the part-time staff currently, it stands at 6,743,716,266 shillings. That is the areas. Right, Honorable Speaker, this quarter, the university received Ugandan shillings 149 million, of which Ugandan shillings 52 million was for utilities and 97 million for other expenses. This is inadequate, as you can see, to pay the above outstanding arrears of over 6 billion for part-time teaching staff. Therefore, Mr. Speaker, the recruitment of part-time teaching staff is dependent on the needs of the department, that where the full-time staff cannot meet the requirement for the teaching. This need is reflected as the teaching load, and recruitment of part-time teaching staff is carried out every semester, depending on the teaching gaps and the qualification of the applicants. Prior to the academic year 2024-25, part-time teaching staff were singularly recruited by heads of department who would submit their names for appointment. However, management and appointment board of the university decided to enforce the regulations. They put in place standards and quality by identifying the part-time staffing needs, advertising the positions, and considering the recommendations from the departments and the faculties and the schools as required by procedures. Those who were not selected to teach in semester 1 of academic year 24-25 are those who do not meet the job requirements. Mr. Speaker and honorable members, the policy for recruitment part-time lecturers on the long tenure is still under consideration by the University Council, and I beg to submit, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you. I start with the member who raised the matter, then I go to Honorable Kavilindi. And I hope Honorable Florence will guide us a little on this matter, Dr. Florence Akike.
Right, Honorable Speaker, I thank you once again for giving me this opportunity. Right, Honorable Speaker and colleagues, I said yesterday that the required staff is 1,281 full-time staff, but the university have 401. So meaning that that's a third of the required staff. We talked about the current deficit of 5.6 billion. It's good that the minister has even added on to, it's now 6 billion, which is required. The people we talked about, the part-time staff, were needed because they don't have the staff required. Full-time staff is required, But at the same time, these people, the human resource, we are directed to get other part-time staff, and the others who had not been paid were laid off. So I see there a problem that the workers are undergraded, or they are nothing, because they also have family, but we don't look at it. And they were clear to say, right, on our speaker, that it's necessary to get a committee to investigate, because now we are talking between, I think my honorable minister, who has presented, told me that they got it late, and they got it from the person or from the university itself. So there is need for us. We know what we are going through as Ugandans these days. So it would be important that we get a separate good team of members of parliament of your choice to go and find out the truth. Because it's like we are saying, the person we are saying has a problem, he's defended by giving the answer without intervention. So there are issues there that we need to clear, so that these people can also, they can know that they are Ugandans, and surely if they are Ugandans, they need salary like any other. We talked about the forensic audit, which shouldn't be necessary. What has been the trend? Then that is when we shall get the truth. But someone is standing, the leader of the team in Kyambogo, when he sits and it's a rebuttal, we shall not get the truth.
Thank you.
That's what I think. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Honorable colleagues, number one, forensic audits are very expensive. Now, when we order forensic audit, Kyambogo University should pay for it. They don't have money to pay staff. Now they get 1 billion to pay auditors for forensic audit, because the auditor.
Thank you so much, Mr. Alex Semerero, our resident analyst. We will welcome you once again to this episode where we shall be analyzing critical issues and issues that have been trending globally, nationally, and locally. Yeah, say hi to our viewers as we begin.
Yes, hi to the viewers, and welcome to the show.
Yeah, thank you so much. First things first. Let's begin with what has just been concluded here in Kasese, and that is the Taskalite Mount Rwenzori Marathon, 3rd edition. Let's look at
services, meals, and so on.
using.
Those are some of the
We are really doing this where we analyze national.
that one shows two things. One,
teaching hours.
it shows that
And
FDC,
if you, for those who know,
Dissolve
there is a trend that had
big of it.
Remember when when we were when I was
runners,
doing my show science
right.
course,
As it winded up yesterday,
now
so we expect bring out this point. We are looking at this issue
for research.
and
They
trying
are doing their
to dig.
consultancy.
And
They don't want to
Boya
teach.
the president,
So how do they do it?
and
They ensure
Father,
they
the
don't get
Secretary
teaching
General,
load. So that
the
they
one
have
that
some-
has Robert
And
Centenary
I'm told they
as
also
the
see
vice
that.
chairperson
So
in charge of
we
Western,
did
and the
indeed
likes
an
of,
audit.
Jack
We
Sappy
discovered
as
that,
the
and with that audit, it helped us now to say no, each one must have maximum teaching load, and it reduced tremendously the number, the required numbers. Teaching load per week should be minimum 10 hours, maximum 12 hours, because you need time for research, you need time for mentoring students and all that. And then we also said we calculated the cost of extra time versus part-time, because part-time is prone to abuse. People create a need because they are creating employment. So we said no. This money, for example, the 6 billion, we said convert it into, we requested Minister of Finance, it allowed us to convert in those people to recruit, so that people can be now permanent, and then on top of their on the top of their maximum teaching load, they could take on extra hours in the evening at 50,000 per day. Now, there you have a situation, even when money delays for extra hours, at least someone has a salary. But now, someone who has nothing apart from teaching at a university and for 3 months has not received any payment, you know, what do you do? You'll find they are in a crisis. And that's when the suspicion comes in, how you recruit, how you do that. So I felt I should share that information with you from the experience that we had. And now you no longer hear those quarrels, because you cannot achieve 100% establishment of the establishment, but at least you should reach somewhere and you're able to progress. Honorable Kaburindi, then Honorable Florence Akiki.
Thanks very much, Right Honorable Speaker and honorable members. Part-time teaching staff, either they were recruited in a right way or wrongly, and they are not ghost workers, they are entitled to their payment. They have families. And to make it worse, you are terminating their services. How do you expect them to go? Before you come in on how you're going to fill the gaps and what have you, first deal with this. Say bye-bye to them with their package. Then we go back to the advice the speaker has given, how do we correct the mistake? But to me to say because they were part-time teaching, now we have terminated them because we have got teaching gaps, does not answer the question. Let us teach them like human beings, like the way we are here. Some of you are here, you are part-time teaching staff in universities, and now you are members of parliament. Please, with due respect, I would expect the minister to tell me the way forward on how we are going to get the 6 billion, and we will say farewell to our colleagues. I thank you.
Thank you. Dr. Florence Akiki.
Thank you so much, Right Honorable Speaker. It's good the workers' representative has said it, that a mistake was made, and indeed it was made. But why it was made, these people have to be paid. Right Honorable Speaker, part-time teaching supplements the resource gap at universities. And indeed, what you have shared with us, while I was still a lecturer at Makerere University, we had that challenge, as you are also part of the council, and indeed what took place there reduced that challenge. This Honorable Minister, I'm so worried. We are talking of 6 billion, and you have only been able to advance 149 million. What a gap. Yes, 6 billion, and we have only been able to advance 149 million. It's a big issue here. What magic? We need a magician here. Where are we going to get this money? And my sister, I really sympathize with you. Government, where are you? Honestly, as this worker is saying, 6 billion has to be got. We are tired of these supplementaries. I don't know what we can do. Can we have some solution? Where do we get the 6 billion? And 2, URA collects all the money of universities. We used to have this money collected at the universities. So all the money now was collected, all of it. URA. Because they said we were giving them wrong data. They didn't know the number of students. They said, okay, now we have got you. We want to see how much you collect. So can you tell us how much you are collecting vis-a-vis what you are giving back? I submit.
Thank you.
Professor, thank you.
Yes, Honorable Bwanuka, Honorable Emmanuel Ngitho.
Thank you. Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker, with academic staffing level of 30% at Chambogo, I'm worried with the quality of education from that university. If they only have 30% of the staff required, and we are here saying that that university is producing the quality products for this country, there is a problem. A university degree, any discipline, there must be a number of professors, a number of PhDs at the senior level, lecturers. Right Honorable Speaker, you are in the council and you have rightly guided. We need an audit in the University of Chambogo, so that we will understand, because we are here thinking that they are producing products. Right Honorable Speaker, there are problems with the quality of products from our universities now. It is not the same. The way part-time lecturers teach and give their time to a student is very different from a permanent lecturer. Very, very different. I want to request, Right Honorable Speaker, that you guide, let the Ministry of Education do an audit and bring back that report so that it will guide our debate. I thank you.
But universities somehow, colleagues, have made some progress. I remember when we were doing, I'm trying to see who was my classmate, Martin Muzari sometimes could attend class. Yeah. So there are some who are here. But there is what we had, we called it studying by rumor at that time. Now, the way of studying by rumor, we would be very many, and the classroom would be, the lecture room would be small. So some you would stand in the compound, and then you keep asking, what did the lecturer say? Now, if you landed on a stubborn person like Honorable Muzare, the notes he would give you, he would give you opposite of what the lecturer has said. So we started by rumor, but now like on infrastructure, we are doing well. And with the ADB project. In fact, Honorable Minister for Environment, I'll be waiting again to hear from you. I had told my people to write on the issue of Guru University. On the issue of Guru University, where we built using ADB money on land, and we have failed to give to give that title to the university, when we are the ones who borrowed money as a government and built there, and then after we said it's a forest. So that one really, I don't know, but we have to sort out that issue. When we came from Guru, it was a big issue. I visited the university, but that will be for later, Honorable Minister. So, Honorable colleague, there is some improvement. I don't know where it started by rumor. Honorable Minister.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. And I hope out of the learning by rumor, we don't have MPs of rumor also. But the point I want to bring here is that we are talking about Chambogo University, but this problem is in all universities. And I don't think there is another time we are going to be talking about Muni University, Gulu University. I think we should talk about all these universities now. And by the way, the 30% teaching staff in Chambogo is even better than in some other universities, particularly the fairly new ones. The fairly new ones, majority of them are at 25% teaching staff. So you see what that means. And in that case, if we are going to take a decision on either to do an audit, particularly the way you guided, Right Honorable Speaker, it has to be done for all public universities. And Right Honorable Speaker, there is one thing I have also noticed. It's not only in the universities. The other higher institutions of learning also have similar problems. We have a UCC in Pakwat, and that UCC in Pakwat has a similar problem. And some years back, actually, they were using the part-time staff or recruitment of part-time staff, to me, was to perpetuate even dictatorship in these universities. For you, who comes in, you have to be so submissive. You shouldn't even be reasoning. And immediately you start to argue with the university, even on right things, you are sent away. Because there are many others out there who want to come in. So somehow we need to look at all these things, and we need to allow some minimum level of discussions from these teachers or from these lecturers. A number of them use it as a tool for stifling discussions at the universities. Right Honorable Speaker, that is my submission. Thank you.
Thank you. I had allowed Honorable Garwango.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker, I just want to re-emphasize that staffing levels of all public universities is wanting. Right Honorable Speaker, there is one with 12%. And when you imagine a university operating at 12%, Chambogo is at least at 30. What products are we getting? I pray that this August House handles this expeditiously, that Chambogo has been an eye-opener. But all universities, however, if universities are like that, it's worse at lower levels, beginning from primary schools, Right Honorable Speaker. You find 7 teachers in a whole school. We must have a deliberate move to see that staffing of all institutions is handled, so that we really talk of quality education in this nation, Right Honorable Speaker. Otherwise, if we do not do that, we are going to end up badly. And we must note that the part-timers are the ones that are holding these universities. They're the ones that are doing the donkey work. And if they are not paid, it's quite sad. Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker.
You see, Honorable colleagues, the issue of part-timers cannot sustain a university. Because the university is not a secondary school that you go on a chalkboard, you write, you read notes, and they go. No, there is mentorship, there is research. In fact, most of the work should be in research. You can't put a part-timer in research, and development of new knowledge. So the issue of part-timers, really, it cannot be a solution. We must get staff. We have a former guild president of Chambogo. No, let's first listen to the former guild president. Okay, Honorable Chivumbi, then the former guild president.
Right Honorable Speaker, I've carefully listened to the issues this House is grappling with. But Honorable Speaker, an office of this Parliament with the Auditor General and carried out comprehensive audit of all these issues we are talking about, from every university to every hospital to every other institution. And if you could give time, because he was saying we don't cherry pick, if you could give time, our report on university as PAC is ready. Our report on oral referral hospital is ready. Our report on all government ministries is ready. If you could allocate time, we table this report, go through all the staff gaps, in hospitals, land issues, then this parliament will have a very comprehensive debate on this issue.
Honorable Chivumbi, I had not seen these reports on. I usually advise chairpersons that on top of submitting to the clerk, also give a copy to the speaker and the deputy speaker.
Right, Honorable Speaker, I've not only given your office a copy, I've only even written to your office of the speaker saying these reports are ready.
I will check with the office of the speaker, but yes, I haven't seen on my desk. So, but what I'll do tomorrow, okay? I'm going to start tomorrow. Tomorrow I'm going to get some, okay? Starting with tomorrow after here, we are going to see which ones are quick, and we start working on those reports, okay? Yes, former President, Chambogo University. I campaigned for her at that time, and I was deployed by Honorable Chivumbi.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. First of all, I can't forget that. You were there when I was running for office at that university. Mr. Speaker, I must say that I've been to Chambog of recent, and you can see the good infrastructure. But you cannot get quality education without the human resource, even with good infrastructure. So both have to move together. With a 30% staffing, there is a problem. The minister must accept this. Because like a hospital where you have a ward round, you have a senior doctor, you have a nurse, you have a medical assistant, then those who are always equally in education, a department must have senior lecturers, it must have assistant lecturers, it must have lecturers, and also other levels, and also professors as the lead. Right, Honorable Speaker, we need to look at the staffing. Because when I was in Chambogo, I noticed we could have different things. Some people are doing research, others have tutorials. You find that you need a big team for each and every department. So it is also necessary to have teaching assistants, because you wouldn't find professors in tutorials. They will instruct the assistants and they would be running the tutorials. That means everyone...
We are talking of part-time. Teaching assistants can be permanent staff. Yeah. And then they progress in the system.
Yes, Mr. Speaker, by the time the university employs part-time lecturers or teachers, there's a reason why they are being employed. It's because the teachers, the permanent teachers, are not enough. So we need to understand, did they employ people to cover the load for the part-time teachers, or they are just offloading them without even filling that space? Now the question is, are the students getting what they paid for, or what government is giving? That is very fundamental, Right Honorable Speaker, and we need these answers. And also, we need to look at a bigger report for all universities. This is for Chambogo today, but equally, even other universities have the problem, same problems. So I want to, through you, Mr. Speaker, to ask that Parliament should pronounce itself on this, because to rank universities, you must have sufficient human resource and also other things. You'll find that our universities are always not ranked internationally well, or we are not even tapping into the research, global research funds, because we do not have enough human resource that is even qualified, and that affects the students at this level and also at the international level. I thank you.
Thank you. Dr. Boka.
Yeah, thank you so much, Right Honorable Speaker, for giving me this opportunity. I thank my colleague, Honorable Margaret, and the Minister for the response to the issue raised about the use of part-time staff in Chambogo University. Colleagues, the issue we're talking about is the tip of the iceberg. Our children deserve quality education. The quality of education is determined by the teachers that we have, and we have standards for learner to teacher ratio in our primary schools, secondary schools, universities. Why are we using part-time staff? It's because we failed to attract, to retain, and to motivate teachers in our school system. I think, Right Honorable Speaker, we need to take interest, and especially the Committee on Education, as well as the Minister of Education, to interrogate the factors that have resulted.
Personally, attribute this, I think, to poor planning. Right Honorable Speaker, we have priorities as government. We have priorities as a country. And among the priorities, we have education, we have health, we have agriculture. And Right Honorable Speaker, when you look at education, right away from primary level, there are primary schools where you find they have only 6 teachers on government payroll. There are secondary schools where they have 8, 9 teachers on government payroll, against 20, 30, 60 teachers required. And when it comes to the university, Right Honorable Speaker, I think we need to be serious in handling these issues. A public university requiring 1,390 something academic staff, and then they have only 418 on payroll. What are we planning? What are we doing? And this is only Chambogo. No wonder these other cases are being reported day and night from these public universities. Right Honorable Speaker, I think I would really recommend that investigations should be done on human resource management in these public universities, not only in Chambogo, but across other public universities. And when we come in to address some of these challenges, especially when it comes to budget, then at times Parliament is seen as we are tampering with budget. Yet these are the priorities that we think we should address as government. Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. But Honorable colleagues, you want us to investigate people we have not even facilitated. They have been giving us unfunded priorities in terms of the gaps. Now, on top of them being denied money, we are even saying, go be investigated. You know, it's very, very Honorable Kangwaji. Then Honorable
Thank you. Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker, for giving me an opportunity at least to say something about this. Still on the issue of the part-timing teachers and lecturers, a question is very clear here, Right Honorable Speaker. Why do we have all these gaps? Another one is, have we given them enough money, enough resources to Ministry of Education so that they can have enough manpower or teachers or lecturers, and they have failed to recruit them? If that question is not yet answered, then we should not blame them. The issue of having, to go to those, universities and the institutions to go and, ask them how they have used that money. Have we given them enough money? If we have not given them enough money, why should we come here and again and lament? The ministry should really give us a real budget. How much is required? We sit as government, we prioritize, we give them priority, and they sort out that problem. Failure to have that one, we shall continue lamenting. Another thing, Right Honorable Speaker, as a university, where do you base to enter into an agreement with someone to come into your university, give a certain service that you cannot give, and at the end of it all, you fail to pay that person? Where will that person go?
Thank you.
When that person comes, you should pay the person. Failure to do it, let the government come in and answer the problem.
Thank you.
I thank you.
Honorable Kangwaji is asking Did you commit these people against the budget? Did you have a budget? Because you are not supposed to commit government without a budget. So how are they generating this area? Because if the money was budgeted, then Honorable Musasizi can come in. But if it was not put in the budget, then his hands are tied. Chair Education Committee.
Mr. Speaker, thank you very much. Most of these universities have private sponsored students. And the common problem has been that this money is now collected and taken to Ministry of Finance. That's what we call the non-taxable revenue. So I wanted the minister to clarify whether Chambogo University has been given their money, the NTR, because they could use the NTR to pay those part-time students. So as a short-term measure, I would propose that Ministry of Finance, because all universities have complained. They collect money, and now they keep begging, and they are given portions. So can we get clarification from Finance?
Thank you. Lop.
Thank you, Right Honourable Speaker. Right Honourable Speaker, I'm glad we are having this conversation, even though, as you have guided, we'll have a more comprehensive one when the reports come through.
I think we do tomorrow. Continue with
What's
tomorrow.
clear, though, Right Honourable Speaker, is we need to invest in education. We need to put our money where our mouth is. All of us in this room are products of education. Might not have been very good education, you might have studied by rumor, but you're here presiding over us because you attained education. So it's important, Right Honourable Speaker, that we take care of this. The part-time teaching staff, first of all, let's pay what we owe them before throwing them out. Incidentally, if some of them are sharp, they will go to court and then you'll have a lot more money to pay because you have benefited from their services and that's not being addressed. Right Honourable Speaker, and why I'm emphasizing that we need to invest in education, if you're having 30 to about 36% staffing level, and yet for Chambogo University, Right Honourable Speaker, I'm told it is worse for senior academic and technical staff, especially in the faculties of engineering, architecture, and yet Chambogo has been thriving on these, especially these two faculties. How do we then address the question of quality? In our alternative policy statements, every so often we keep saying, let's allocate a lot more money, and attention is not given to it. I'll cite an example. We were earlier on discussing capitation grant. And we did suggest that for capitation grant, for advanced level, put it at 150,000. Ordinary and primary level, put it at 100,000. Because this money is not useless money. It is money that was put in place to replace revenue that was lost to schools because of the abolition of fees. And to also improve the quality of education. What we have now is quantity education as opposed to quality education. So you have so many students, children who are in school, but what kind of education are they getting? Honourable Speaker, I'm sure you have read this report. There's a report that was done by an entity called Uwezo. They did research and children in P6 were failing P2 work in these schools. Why? Because we have not addressed the question of quality. I'm glad we are going to have a further discussion on this so that hopefully, government will take action. Thank you.
Thank you. There were a few questions which they brought, but I want us to carry on this tomorrow when Honorable Chivumbi's committee presents the report. We shall start with the one of public universities. But Honorable Minister, I don't know if there are urgent issues you felt you should answer now.
Thank you so much, Right Honourable Speaker. I want to say that thank you for giving the opportunity to colleagues to raise very critical issues, which I might not respond to it right now, but I want to thank them to acknowledging the fact that there is a critical budget gap we have the need is really critical, but the finance is not adequate to meet the funding gap. As I presented, there were budget cuts under the allowance budget line, which could not cater for the payment for the part-time staff. Mr. Speaker, this afternoon, I had a talk with my colleague, Honorable Margaret, my dear sister, who raised this issue. And in her presence, I called the Vice Chancellor really because the matter is not a simple matter. And we agreed together that especially those part-time staff who have taken long, who have not been paid, we should look at the matter case by case, together with her providing the necessary document and the Vice Chancellor and the university. We try to see how this matter can be handled. That one we discuss as a way forward. Number two, I don't know whether you got this, Mr. Speaker.
Yes,
we
I
agree
got it.
with Margaret.
Yeah,
yes.
I
Thank you so much for acknowledging that. Now, the matter about probably providing more resources as a way forward, I've discussed with my colleague here, looking at the coming financial year 24-25, the university should be able to cater for some of these gaps in the budget line, where there was a lot of cuts, how this can be factored into their budget to cater for these areas that have accumulated. And lastly, Mr. Speaker, I just want to say, I think as Minister of Education and Sports, we've really tried to balance the quality of education and the quantity in terms of the numbers. Where we have moved, there is really a lot of improvement. So I want to say, yes, my brother, the leader of opposition, has raised the issue of quality, but as ministry, this is what we are addressing day in, day out, to improve the quality and make sure the standard of education is improved for the children of Uganda. Lastly, thank you so much, Mr. Speaker, for the fact that we should invest much more in the education sector by providing more funds in this sector. I want to thank you for that, because the head of state has made a special appeal while we're in Igulu that let's put more money for comprehensive universal education, which is much more, and the entire sector, so that we improve on the quality. I want to thank you for that support, and I beg to submit. Thank you.
And Honorable Minister, we are waiting for you to come and guide how you would want the House to facilitate your policy of free universal primary and secondary education. The President has mentioned it several times, and now it's appearing as if Parliament, you are not doing our part. We want you to come here and you tell us what you want us to do, because we support the President's position. Now the implementation part of it is what we need at work on. Honorable Minister for Finance.
Much obliged.
Thank you. Front loading, NTR, for the universities.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, we cannot front-load NTR. We remit NTR as and when it is received. Why we control NTR, it is simply for good treasury management. We want all the monies that belong to government of Uganda to be managed from one pot, and then from one pot we can distribute to the various spending MDAs. Therefore, Mr. Speaker, if assuming NTR in this respect is school fees, you pay school fees today, by end of week we do a reconciliation, next week we give you the money. We have nothing to do with NTR from agencies at all, and we don't use it for anything else. However, Mr. Speaker, the agencies must have budgeted for this NTR. We have many cases where the entities underestimate, they under budget for NTR. And to access it without a budget is not possible. What we require in such instances is that these agencies must now write to us and we raise a supplementary budget. That is where NTR can delay. But if you have budgeted properly, NTR is a straight-through process through our system, Mr. Speaker.
Yeah, thank you. And Honourable Minister, I want to agree with you, but there is help you are doing, and I talk from experience. Okay? And it was working well. You don't front load 100%. But beginning of the semester, you front load, and then the institution, so that the institution can operate. Then it's required to correct that money. If it doesn't, you cut it on money for the next quarter.
Now, Mr. Speaker, thank you so much for that experience. In northern Uganda, we had a district called Lamo. When we used it to, I am explaining the case. The meaning is what, in Lamo, they took advantage of this case of front-loading, and they overstated their budget for NTR. And as a result of that, we gave them money, which they couldn't realize, among many other agencies. That one also had, it led us into a shortfall. That's why we are now careful not to enter into a trap of these accounting officers who normally want to use any means possible to beat our systems. That's why we stopped front-loading, Mr. Speaker.
Okay, so colleagues, let's resume this tomorrow, because we shall discuss all these issues related. Let's resume it tomorrow after receiving the report from PAC. Okay, next item.
Item 4, laying of papers, proposal to borrow up to USD 15.22 million from the African Development Bank and USD 73.1 million from the African Development Fund as additional financing and construction of the Rope Moyo Afoji Katuna Mukamukaganga Road project.
Honourable Minister for Finance.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I beg to lay on a proposal to borrow up to $15.22 million from the African Development Bank and $73.15 million, equivalent to 55 million unit of account from the African Development Fund as additional financing for the construction of Laropi Moyo Afoji and Katunamuko Kamgangu's Road project. I beg to lay, Mr. Speaker.
The proposal referred to the Committee on National Economy for consideration and reporting back within 45 days.
As additional financing
procedure, Dr. Boka,
for the construction of
the additional financing.
Thank you.
Thank you.
The Honourable, that's what the committee will do. Okay? But Honourable Minister, you want to give a quick clarification?
Mr. Speaker, What I have just laid, I know we shall go to the committee, but for the interest of the public, some straightforward things must be answered. What I have just presented is just additional. Prior to this, in July of 2020, this project was approved, but the project was approved before the detailed designs were made. And after detailed designs, there was an adjustment. There was need to increase the cost by the amount we are borrowing. And this is why we are here. Where the money went, we cannot start the project until when we have full amount. We cannot procure a contractor until when we are sure that the money we have it. So,
thank you. Now, Honourable Minister, you see why I wanted you to go to the committee? Thank you. Thank you. The Minister is off the floor, he has not granted. Next item.
Item 5, motion for adoption of the report of the Committee on Defense and Internal Affairs on the security situation in the districts of Moroto, Kabong, and Abim.
Honorable Chair for Defense.
Why are you laughing? Oh, thank you, Right Honorable Speaker.
After Chair, we request Chief Whip clarify on the issue of Guru University land, okay? You remind me.
Oh, thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. Before I report to the House, I would like to lay the report of the Committee on Defense and Internal Affairs on the security situation in the districts of Moroto, Kabong, and Abim. I beg to lay. And together we have attached minutes and attendance list. Thank you. Right Honorable Speaker, we have two main bodies of this report. We have the executive summary and also the main report. So I beg your indulgence whether to proceed with the summary, executive summary, or I present the full report.
The full report will be captured on the Hansard.
Yes.
This report has been with us for long. So
Okay.
do the summary.
All right, thank you. Right Honorable Speaker and members of Parliament, Karamoja sub-region of Uganda, home to the Karamojong people, is deeply interconnected with neighboring communities in Kenya, Ethiopia, and Sudan. Despite primarily practicing patriotism, the region faces significant challenges, including armed violence stemming from internal conflicts and clashes with neighboring groups. In response to the pressing issue of cattle rustling and armed conflict, the President of Uganda issued Executive Order Number 3 of 2023. Although the involvement of the UPDF has led to some improvements in the security landscape by launching operations to encounter armed raids and recover livestock, stolen livestock, persistent armed conflicts, raiding cultural practices, and the proliferation of firearms from neighboring regions continue to fuel insecurity. The unresolved border dispute between Uganda and South Sudan poses a significant threat to security and has the potential to strain their relationship further. Moreover, the Uganda Wildlife Authority's unresponsiveness may precipitate demands for compensation from affected communities due to incidents involving stray wild animals. The committee's findings underscore the need to resolve territorial conflicts with Sudan. Security infrastructure needs enhancement, including installing a UPDF brigade in Kabong, opening more security roads, and ensuring pastoral communities can access water sources. Boarding education program for Karamoja access water sources during droughts. It's also important to implement a compulsory boarding education program for Karamoja to provide valuable education and transformation for the mindset of an entire generation, ultimately establishing stability and peace in the region. Right Honorable, I'll request you allow me to touch a few recommendations. The backgrounds, I'm not going to discuss, maybe the objectives and the methodology. On the terms of reference now, 1, to establish the current security situation in the Karamoja sub-region and appraise the ongoing military operation in selected districts against armed cattle conflict. We came up with the recommendation that the committee therefore recommends that the government should develop and implement a free and mandatory boarding education program for Karamoja. This initiative will provide crucial education for the children and reshape an entire generation's mindset while effectively reducing the cultural sentiment of warriorism. The Uganda Police Force should increase its presence in this region to effectively maintain law and order within Uganda's territorial boundaries as mandated by law. The Uganda Police Force should be provided with mobility facilities such as pickups and motorcycles in the sub-counties of the Karamoja region. The government should expedite the joint border demarcation with South Sudan to protect Uganda's territorial integrity and mitigate security threats from South Sudan's armed forces. The demarcation should follow existing treaties, orders, colonial maps and coordinates to minimize conflict. The Uganda People's Defense Force and Uganda Police should intensify patrols along the porous borders to safeguard the border and surrounding communities and increase border security. Uganda Wildlife Authority should intervene to contain poaching activities and address the issue of stray wild animals to Kidepo National Park to protect the lives and properties of the surrounding communities. To establish the causes and effects of the recurring cattle rustling and related crimes. The committee recommends that the government should persist in supporting peace dialogues, meetings, and involving the Karachuna in skilling programs that extend beyond Moroto. This will provide alternative sources of livelihood, since most of the land in Karamoja is reserved and under the control of Uganda Wildlife Authority as part of the national park. The government should consider freeing up some arable land for the youth to engage in commercial agriculture. It should also provide machinery for those who are already skilled. The government should allocate funds for the desilting of the Murongole and Longoromit dams, as they are crucial water reservoirs in the Karamoja region. Having sufficient water sources helps to minimize conflicts that could escalate into armed conflicts among pastoralists. The government should install more freshwater points required by the security forces in the strategic areas in the Karamoja region. This will facilitate the effective deployment of security forces and rapid responses in all security threat areas. On TOT, terms of reference 3, establish the actors that are still armed and continue to engage in armed conflicts. The committee recommends that the UPDF should establish a brigade in Kabong due to its strategic location within the porous borders of South Sudan and Kenya to curb the proliferation of illegal arms through this area. The government should increase the quota allocation for Karamoja in the UPDF recruitments to integrate more Karamojong people into the army. The Karamojong are natural warriors, and assimilating their natural abilities into the army where they can best contribute would reduce redundancy and potentially discourage cattle riding and armed conflicts in Karamoja. Who were innocently arrested and detained by the UPDF should be screened and then released back to the community after reconciliation dialogues between the UPDF and the armed conflict affected families. The government should provide tractors to organized groups in Acholi, Lango and Karamoja sub-regions to cultivate vast lands for commercial agriculture, creating alternative livelihood for youth. And finally, terms of reference 4, appraise the level of collaboration with the counterpart forces in Kenya in dealing with the disarmament and intercommunal cross-border violence associated with cattle wrestling. In conclusion, Right Honorable, the committee assessed the security situation in Karamoja to abreast Parliament. The committee found that the UPDF's reinforced deployment has improved border security and reduced conflicts. However, unauthorized entries through porous borders still facilitate arms proliferation. The government needs to enhance security by installing a UPDF brigade in Kabong, opening more security roads and ensuring pastoral communities can access water sources during droughts. It's also essential to implement a compulsory boarding education program for Karamoja to provide full valuable education and transform the mindset of an entire generation. Ultimately establishing stability and peace in the region. Right Honorable Speaker, I beg to report.
Thank you. Thank you, Chair. Honorable colleague, these are recommendations from our own committee, which we all belong to, and they are very straightforward. I don't expect a long debate on this. Okay? Yes, let me start with the MPs from Karamoja, which is the area under consideration. Yes, nearby will be handled after the actual. And we have also experts 1, 2, 3, 4. Then I'll go to the neighbors, starting with Kwanya. Yes. Please, let's do 3 minutes each, honorable colleagues, so that we also do the health report.
Right, Honorable Speaker, I wish to thank the committee for a great job. Even though the committee sampled 3 districts out of 9, we associate ourselves with the recommendations that cut across the region. Right, Honorable, as we said in Gulu, there is a way our government has continued to prove that insecurity in Karamoja and the neighborhood can be subdued. This is the evidence as given out by the committee in their report. What has remained a challenge, which the recommendations of the committee seek to address, is how to sustain that peace. By the time the UPDF secure the region, the next thing of transformation, sustaining the attained peace, has continued to be a challenge. So the recommendations as given by the committee are very useful. I will only add a small thing. On the issue of developing skilling program, already we have an industrial hub in Napak. The idea of industrial hubs in the country is good because it opens room for those Ugandans who haven't had a formal education to be skilled. But the capacity of that industrial hub is so small it cannot manage the entire region. We only take about 20 per district in a season, and it's not enough. It's my appeal that another industrial hub is opened in the northern part of Karamoja.
Those are the ones under State House?
Yes.
Skilling hub.
Skilling hub. They skill the youth who have not had formal education, and we have a majority.
Yes, I know, but I wanted to have the actual language, because industrial hub and the skilling hub, are different.
Okay. Yeah. It is a skilling industrial hub, the ones managed by State House. It's my appeal that we have another one in northern part of Karamoja, and so that the numbers can increase. The committee has recommended desilting of some dams. Right, Honorable, we submitted severally to the committees, also to the Ministry of Agriculture, the dams that need to be desilted in the entire region. So identifying 2 dams and you leave out the other 38 will still pose a problem to the region. Maybe the 2 were important, but it's good to increase the scope so that those are also considered. Finally, Right Honorable, I appreciate the recommendation on increasing the quota allocation for the Karamoja youth to join the UPDF. It's my appeal that as that is done, even the minimum requirement be waived. Many of our people don't have S4. And even if they have S4, they will not complete at the age of 23, at least 30. They say they don't want a scar. With the bushes we've been moving in, the scars are there. So those considerations should come along to support our youth join the forces. I submit.
I think if they could put in other requirements that fit the Karamajong, they find they will even perform better. Honorable Reru has had properly.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. First of all, I want to thank the committee for the job well done. This is the first time I am really appreciating the report from the committee. It has touched all it takes to sustain and maintain peace in the Karamoja region. The only issue now is the issue of implementation. Of all these recommendations, they are so beautiful, they are so nice. They can take Karamoja to the next level. But then, when it comes to allocation of resources to implement this recommendation, look at establishing a brigade in Kabong. It's so critical because that is the outlet where illicit arms come into the country, and when the people in the country acquire it, they use it for disrupting the peace. The other one is the critical one, is collaborating with the Kenyan and the Sudan counterparts in ensuring that there is total cross-border relationship. Now, that one requires the Minister of East African Affairs to work with the relevant ministry here in Uganda, so that that is achieved. Otherwise, without that, we may not proceed on well. Without much to say, I only pray that these recommendations are implemented.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Honorable, the relevant minister will bring an action taken report after we have adopted. Okay, since Honorable, you're already here.
Thank you so much, Right Honorable Speaker. I stand to support the recommendations of the committee and the work well done. Honorable Speaker, when you look at Karamoja, the conflict is not a new conflict, but there is an apex of conflict in Karamoja that I expected the committee to have visited. That is Kotido. Honorable Speaker, as we speak, there is another gruesome rise of insecurity, moving from cattle theft into targeted killing. Within a period of 2 years, Kotido district has lost 5 LOC 3 chairpersons, and of which on the 14th of this month, we lost our dear LOC 3 of Kotido sub-county by the name of Mario Lotiang Lakaino, who was gruesomely killed by armed warriors. We pray that government looks at this new form of killing, targeting local leaders. The chairpersons are not all elected leaders. We are not all elected leaders. The chairpersons are not all elected leaders. They are also chairpersons of security of their sub-counties. When they are targeted, there will be panic in the community. There will be a lot of total chaos in the community. I pray that the Ministry of Finance, the Ministry of Defense, together with all the security personnel, look at this matter and investigate why are the leaders targeted by the wrong people, so that we can give confidence to our people. I pray.
Thank you, Honorable. Thank you. That's very, very critical.
Thank you so much, Right Honorable Speaker, for the opportunity to debate. I want to agree that the report presented by the committee is spot on and makes good recommendations. And just like Albert has actually indicated, if we picked it up, I think we'll not be able to revert back to a very insecure Karamoja. The report rightly points about the fragility of the borders. If you look at how the 2018 conflict started, it started at the grazing point in Kobebe. I wish we had actually resolved it then. It would not have spiraled to the bordering districts. And so the quick response to incidences is what I would actually urge could be taken by the UPDF or the security agencies. In fact, I want to applaud the new designation of Don Abasa, General, has actually been very good. He's actually been very good working with the leaders, because that's one way through which we could actually be able to stem some of these things. The committee also recommends about the desilting of dams. Most of the conflicts related to cattle rustling are because of the search for water. And severally we have actually engaged the Ministry of Water, but also the Ministry of Agriculture, to see how they can desilt the dams. We in Bokora rely on the people of Kapelibiong. When they don't allow us to be able to go and to take the cows there for drinking, it's actually a disaster. So we really wish the desilting of dams is taken care of. And finally, about the security roads. Usually when there are attacks, the security agencies find difficulty in tracking. And we have also been able to present various reports about the possibility of trying to work on the security roads so that there is quick response when there is an occurrence. I want to thank you.
Thank you, Amudat. Then Kwania.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker, for giving me this opportunity. Once again, I'm Chalain Betty Louke, Member of Parliament, representing the people of Amudat, that's in Karamoja. Right Honorable, thank you, the committee, for the report you've given. And I'm really praying implementation to take place on the recommendations. Right Honorable Speaker, currently as we speak, there is peace in Karamoja. And you know, Right Honorable Speaker, where there is peace, there are a lot of things which are going to take place. Like, for example, our men have been in the bush providing security for us, but now since there is peace in Karamoja, they are now close to us. And being close to us, Right Honorable Speaker, I am requesting the government to put eyes on Karamoja on population increase. Yes. So that should be an indicator for planning, proper planning for the region. And then, Right Honorable Speaker, there is also a report, I didn't hear any report about minerals in Karamoja. When these factories are being started in our region, I'm really requesting our own to be considered, especially the engineers who are from Karamoja. Then lastly, Right Honorable Speaker, during recruitment of UPDF, there is what they consider as age. Right Honorable Speaker, I started P1 when I don't know even my age, but I was approximately around 12 years. So if I was to join army, it is good General Elwelu is looking at me when I'm presenting, so that they can consider age factor in Karamoja. Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker.
But there is no one on the floor. No, there is no one on the floor. Yes, there is no one on the floor, Honorable. These are the Kwania. Oh, I'll do both. Okay. Both Kwania. Don't mind. I'll start with the gentleman.
Thank you very much, Right Honorable. For record purposes, Komol Joseph Midi, Member of Parliament, Lodothu North in Kabong District.
Sorry.
I am not Kwania.
Sorry, Honorable. I was mistaking you. Sorry.
Thank you very much. Right Honorable, allow me also thank the committee for having recommended a lot about Karamoja, and particularly in the districts of Kabong, Abima, and Moroto. I come from Kabong. The committee has done a lot on prevention. One fact has not come out. As a result of cattle rustling, the people of Karamoja, and particularly in Kabong, nearly lost all the animals. Now, what is biting in the district and Kabong, where I come from, is rural poverty. Rural poverty. A family has failed to open land. You can imagine opening land. A family has failed to open land. Opening land normally is by use of oxen. So because our people have lost all the animals, so no food can be produced because they have to use local tools. So what has not come here, Right Honorable, is the question of compensation. I don't know if I have ever heard about it. The question of compensation. In Kabong district, we had up to a tune of 180,000 cows by 2014. But as we talk now, by January, we had less than 7,000 cows. All had been raided to Kenya and to the neighboring districts. So, the other fact that comes out is the question of giving tractors needs to be expedited. Now, the other fact that could have solved the whole problem is when I came to Parliament, we have been asking for establishment of a brigade, deployment of a brigade in Kabong. If that had been done, not even any animal would have gone. Because Kabong district is in a forest border, bordered by Kenya and bordered by South Sudan. Otherwise, with the deployment of the UPDF, the issue of the guns can be contained. I want to mention two incidents that have been too painful in the recent 2 weeks. On 27th of August 2024, at around 10 p.m. in Nairobi Primary School, Right Honorable Speaker, the armed thugs broke in a primary school and got a teacher on duty, mobile head teacher, pulled him out of the house and shot him dead. And the wife is in the hospital. Again, before that happened, 2 months ago, along the Camion na Wontos Kenya border. Also a border guy who has been operating in Kakuma and then Kabong also was intercepted. What happened here? They took millions of his money and they slaughtered him. Then they hid his body far away from the road and was recovered 7 days after. So this has not been a good thing by the isolated armed areas. So we feel that if a brigade is expedited, it has been recommended, all right. But if it is expedited, then the rest of the people can be saved. I raise my case. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Kwania.
Thank you so much, Right Honourable Speaker. Right Honourable Speaker, Kwania is bordering Koromojo. It is not far because we are in Lango sub-region, yes. The insecurity in Koromojo has been long overdue. And yet they have the whole brigade of UPDF stationed in Kabong and in some other district. We have to find out why is it that the insecurity in Koromojo cannot end. What could be the problem? Who is causing all this problem? These are some of the questions that we have to answer as members of parliament who comes from Northern Uganda. Because whenever there's a problem or whenever there's insecurity in Koromojo, the entire Northern Uganda is affected. In terms of production, in terms of farming, and all those other things. So for me, I would suggest, if possible, we have the brigade that is stationed in Kabong. Why don't we put all these UPDF brigade in most of the district in Karamoja so that we can attain the peace that all these other Ugandans are yearning for? Thank you so much, Right Honourable Speaker.
Thank you. DP Whip.
Thank you very much, Right Honourable Speaker. Right Honourable Speaker, I join colleagues who have spoken earlier in appreciating the report by the Committee of Defense and Internal Affairs. Right Honourable Speaker, the military colleagues who are here, General Iruelo and the rest, will agree that you can take over a territory, and if you don't leave there personnel, even if you go to pursue another territory, by the time you come back, you'll find that the territory you have taken over has already been run off. So I think the major thing in Karamoja, we have seen over time, the situation in Karamoja improves, deteriorates. It improves, it deteriorates. Why? Because of sustaining the force that had been put. So, if the military can really put a brigade, as has been proposed, that would be a plus. But what the committee did not touch on, you know, when we are looking at the military, we most times forget about the police. There are areas where police would be necessary in the area of Karamoja because the military there is the harder part. And then the police need to handle also some of the softwares so that the people get interested also in getting used to our security forces. Secondly, Right Honourable Speaker, we also must know why the Karamojong or the people in Karamoja do hold guns. For as long as the neighboring countries are not disarming, it will be very difficult for Karamoja to remain without arms, because they also need that to protect themselves against the external raiders. So that also needs to be looked into. The report, the committee mentioned it very clearly, that the Sudan, the Kenya also need to be sorted out if we need permanent peace in Karamoja in terms of guns, illegal guns out of the hands of the local population. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Oseku? I'm picking one member per sub-region. So the sub-region is where I've already picked.
Thank
the
you.
neighboring sub-regions of...
Thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker, for the opportunity. And permit me to applaud the committee for the report. Most of the recommendations are good. But Right Honorable Speaker, I worked in Karamoja for 9 years. And these recommendations are just merely part of the solutions that should be able to render Karamoja a secure place. Want to applaud the UPDF and the NRM government, because before NRM came to power, they had a 10-point program. And Karamoja was identified to be one of the areas to be tackled by government. And indeed, they have attempted to deal with this problem, and to some extent, we have succeeded. Right Honorable Speaker, now the issue is the causes of this recurring insecurity in the region. The problem being, to me, perhaps that government has failed to properly diagnose this problem. There are two issues. One is the strategic problem for this cause of recurrence of insurgency. And I want to thank Honorable Court, because he has said, if we do not deal with these external factors, we as a country are only dealing with the tactical issues. That is what pertains to us internally. And for that matter, without having to waste a lot of time, I would request and maybe recommend that this issue be recommended to the East African Legislative Assembly, to the East African community, so that a strategic plan is developed from there, to which all these member states, the Sudan, the Kenya with their Turkana and the other aggressors, can properly discuss this issue, and then they come up with a plan to implement. Then we can have peace forever. Without that, this problem will continue recurring. Second, Right Honorable Speaker, what guided the success of the first disarmament and up to the recent program was that there was a guiding program. We had what was called the Karamoja Integrated Disarmament and Development Plan. But that plan was abandoned some time back. The Ministry of Karamoja should be able to put together a proper plan that should be followed. Other than just these mere recommendations were put, the plan was so big, and so we need a proper plan that can be properly checklisted to see how far we are progressing in as far as the investment in the peace and development of Karamoja is concerned. We need development there. We need water. We need industries. This livestock and pastoralist industry needs to be developed. And we need to invest in that livestock. We need the meaty packers in that area. And then we shall be able to ensure that development takes place, employment opportunities are provided, and the people are able to gain out of it.
Toroma.
Thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker. Katakwi, especially Toroma, where I come from, is an immediate neighbor to Karamoja. I want first of all to thank the Commander-in-Chief of the Uganda Armed Forces for deploying General Don Nabasa. At least the situation is improving. However, there are still some challenges. One, there is a security road that begins from that side of Abim, Kapelebyong, Amuria, Katakwi, up to Bugesu region. I wish if that road can be put in place, and also water in the areas where there are soldiers, because getting water in those areas is really very bad. No, it is really very difficult. That could improve the situation. Then also the patrol vehicles. The people, especially the armed forces who are trying to sort out this problem, they don't even have the motorbikes in order to arrest the situation. If those motorbikes can be availed, especially in a barracks there, it will be very easy. And lastly, security, I'm here, General Elelwa is here. These cameras, especially the solar cameras, can do a very good work. This one that can do visual sight even at night. It will help the soldiers who are doing the operation there to net the captives. Thank you very much. I submit.
Dokoronos.
Thank you very much. I really thank the chair for his presentation, but I want to say that the presentation centered mainly on military solution. This has been, all times I've been hearing this solution of Karamoja of raiding, it is military. I would want to propose, mainly because I come from the private sector, a private sector approach. A cow which is being raided is usually those cows which are 70 kilos. And when the Karamojong or a raider whistles, the cow will run for 50 kilometers without standing. Let us change the strategy. Let's have the cows in Karamoja and neighboring ones become at least 400 kilos.
Obese cows.
Yeah. At least 400 kilograms. Those cows will never be raided. Huh? They will never be raided because they cannot move even for 500 meters. So what should we
but
do?
But you picked cows from our area and which were fat and he managed to take them up to...
So, Chair, Honorable Speaker, what should we do? We must now develop Karamoja with support mainly for breeds and feeds. Work in that line, Karamoja is very easy to develop because they live in manyatas. So we have this money called PDM, 100 million per parish. That can be used partly to support a process which would allow water to be installed in manyatas. You just need solar pumps, not dams. After doing that, have the pasture grown nearby and the cows will become bigger. The issue of raids will end completely. The good thing, Chair, Speaker, what I realized also is that those raiders, when they see a cow and they cannot take it, they will never shoot that cow. They will just cry and leave that cow crying that I've left a very nice cow. But they will never shoot it. Let's develop a private sector approach. We have a whole of the Egyptian group who have invested here. They don't have cows. Let's have an approach where we support them with the help of the private sector so that we support in scaling and so on, and the big cows will be achieved. Thank you.
Thank you. Youth North.
Thank you, Right Honourable Speaker. I also thank the committee for the elaborate report. Right Honourable Speaker, given the sub-regional development gap and the extremely high poverty rate, Karamoja certainly needed affirmative action yesterday. Right Honourable Speaker, every morning when you're stuck in traffic and evening, you'll notice that almost every single street child in Kampala and on the eastern route, the urban centers in the eastern route, are all children coming from Karamoja sub-region. Right Honorable Speaker, I know that government now is prioritizing mindset change. And there is a proposal, a recommendation by the committee that there should be this free, compulsory boarding education in Karamoja. Right Honorable Speaker, this Parliament must prioritize this particular resolution of this committee. Honorable Woman Member of Parliament of Napak has talked about the skilling center in Karamoja. I've been there, and certainly, given the pressure and the need in Karamoja, we must fast track the expansion of this particular skilling hub in Karamoja. The need is enormous compared to all the other sub-regions. But Right Honorable Speaker, recently I met a team coming from a university that is in Karamoja, called Kapatu in short, Karamoja Peace and Technology University. I listened to their very unique teaching methods and proposed approaches. And I'm of the view, Right Honorable Speaker, because they are prioritizing sustainable peace in Karamoja through some of the faculties that are proposed therein. This university certainly needs support, because they shared with me the nature of and the ways they're trying to acquire support, mostly from the private sector. And I think given the fact that we've all agreed that Karamoja needs affirmative action, our government must support this particular institution. Finally, Right Honorable Speaker, usually when we make proposals as government, the proposals are most times, sometimes a bit scattered. And I believe that intensity is greater than extensity. There is a Karamoja regional development master plan by the National Planning Authority. I would propose that we take this up as a blueprint and not propose too many ideas, but look at that particular blueprint. At least I've listened to most of the leaders from Karamoja, and they agree that this blueprint is an excellent one, so that the development in Karamoja is comprehensive and not scattered. Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker.
Thank you. Muzari.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker, I want to begin by thanking the chair of the committee for the good proposals. Right Honorable Speaker, I have been around. I have had the problems of Karamoja, and most importantly, is to do with insecurity in that region. We may have so many good ideas, but provided we've not managed the issue of insecurity in the region, there is nothing. Right Honorable Speaker, my concern is one. Today, you go to construction sites of Chinese, you'll find a mini barracks on those sites. You'll find individuals guarded with the soldiers, about 10 of them, on one individual. You go to Chinatown here, you'll find about 20 of them. These are sites that are supposed to be manned by police officers. We are supposed to deploy these people in Karamoja. These people should be in Karamoja. Uganda has performed well outside the country. We've performed very well in Somalia, in our neighbors, Central Africa, Congo. Why? Why should we still have insecurity in our country? Yet we are doing well outside the country. Right Honorable Speaker, it's good General Error is here, the representative of UPDF. He should come here and explain why soldiers are being deployed at construction sites, yet we have insecurity in Karamoja sub-region. I thank you, Right Honorable Speaker.
Honorable Speaker, I want to firstly appreciate Honorable Linus Ngompek and his committee for the report. I saw members laughing when he stood up to speak. This man can be serious when he chooses. Right Honorable Speaker, I've been to Kidepo Valley National Park. For those who don't know, by the way, if you want to be assured of seeing lions, Kidepo Valley National Park is the place to be. While there, I hiked with the team I was with, Mount Morungole, and we went to see the Ik community.
Why do you look for small hills? Why don't you hike serious mountains?
I have done all those ones, so I wanted a new challenge. So we met the Ik community at the top of Mount Morungole, a very vulnerable community which hardly accesses government services. I know we are talking about defense, but I thought I should slip that in because I saw with my eyes the Ik community, among several others, but specifically this one, I kept wondering which world in which they are. Hardly any social services. I hope government knows about those people because they are there. There you are.
Honorable colleague, just for information, in the 10th Parliament, that's when they had the inaugural MP. The president made it very clear that this was affirmative action because they are an endangered tribe. I think we have the Ik, the Dodos, the Tepet, and the Batwa, you know. Yeah, so, but indeed they need more support, like you said.
And that's the point I was emphasizing, right, Honorable. It's good there's an MP from that area, but you see the community itself is still extremely vulnerable. In connection to that, Honorable Speaker, one of the reasons why disarmament in the Karamoja sub-region, and now in this particular area, because there's a game park, elephants keep raiding the crops of the community, so the community keeps thinking they've got to protect themselves against these animals. So when you're telling them to surrender their guns, it does not make sense to them at all. Because they're not safe. They're not safe, again, from the intruders from the other countries. You see, the point where we were, when you look at the Uganda map, that tip, and so we were able to jump into Kenya, came back to Uganda, then we jumped into South Sudan, came back. The borders are very porous. And that's what happens. So there is entry and exit. So little wonder the communities feel unsafe. And so disarmament becomes a convoluted process. Hopefully that can be addressed, because if you want to convince them, they've got to be convinced that they are safe. Honorable Speaker, districts like Abim have got insufficient police manpower. And no wonder crime becomes difficult to manage because of this shortage. This very district, I don't know if the MPs from this district are present, right, Honorable? Maybe they could confirm what I'm saying. There's a challenge of transport. In fact, this district has got no police vehicle to handle emerging issues. And others, but this particular one specifically. And so if we are to address security concerns, this is where we have got to start from, for the community to feel safe. For these officers, the reason why there's a shortage in some of these districts, one, they also don't feel very safe. There are too few. Two, colleagues have been talking about water shortage issues and all of that. So even themselves find it very uncomfortable to be there. I know for a very long time, Karamoja has been handled as a very vulnerable community, but sometimes we only talk about it. Government will talk about it. We need to see a lot more of that translating on ground. I thank you.
Thank you. Now, honorable colleagues, the debate is closed. Because I also want us to handle the status report for hospitals and health centers in northern Uganda. We finish it today. But I know rules don't allow members of the committees to debate, but they allow them to clarify and inform the House. So we represent constituents sometimes of a special nature, and we are lucky to have General Reru here, who represents the UPDF. General, they've raised some issues which I know you can help us give some feedback, and some you take to the superiors. So I want to give you the opportunity to help clarify on some issues. And let's give him time. We don't disturb him with more clarifications, sir.
Thank you, Right Honourable Speaker. I'll talk about one, the killing of the LC3s. That one is a matter of investigation. I think it could be politically motivated or any other thing, but it's very unfortunate. Surely, Kotido has lost quite a number of LC3s to some criminals. On the brigade for Kabong, I don't know whether you people know what the brigade is. You don't know. So what can I only assure you is that we will make. I'll talk to the division commander, because Karamoja was reinforced. Karamoja actually is one of our reinforced division, and the president gave quite enough manpower. The only problem may be how that manpower is being used. But I want to assure the people of Kabong that shall make sure that they have adequate security, because Kabong, actually, there are very few raiders. Kabong is not a raiding community, and they need to be protected very well. So we shall make sure Kabong has adequate security.
No, Honorable, please, Honorable colleagues, please. He is my member here on the floor.
Yeah.
I don't want him to answer very many issues. Honorable Reru, go on.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Honorable Speaker. So, Kabong, we shall make sure that you have adequate security to deal with insecurity coming from other districts. On security roads, this one is being implemented, though the progress is very slow, but I'm very sure very soon we shall have quite adequate security roads to handle mobility in that area. Because without security roads, we cannot really deal with some of these criminals urgently. But there's progress on that, along that line. The other thing is on recruitment. Recruitment, where you said the issue of the standard of education, that one is a policy matter, and I can really not commit myself on that unless Honorable Minister will bring his report on what he can do about it, because this is really what we decided, that a private soldier should be senior 4, and that is it. The other thing, Right Honourable Speaker, is that this is an internal security matter, which is purely a police matter. The police is supposed to deploy 10 policemen per sub-county, but that has already been implemented, and I hope with the recruitment they are carrying out, they will be able to deploy 10 police officers per sub-county. When that is done, I think they will be able to help us in curbing cattle theft within Karamoja and outside Karamoja. Right Honourable Speaker, the challenge in Karamoja is a very big one that the UPDF alone cannot manage it. But what we need to deal with first is about education, where the committee has proposed compulsory boarding education, because we need a new generation in Karamoja, which does not understand these issues of raids. Otherwise, without doing that, we shall continue with that problem. The other thing is about water for animals, water for agriculture, and water for people. These are the two things that we need to deal with in Karamoja, and that is a government issue, but I think they are working on it, and it will be handled. The problem is also, there is always money for water. I see there is money, but the problem is it's being eaten by some people, and that is where the problem is. But the money, government has been sending quite a lot of money to that region to handle the issues of water. I think.
Thank you, Honorable.
I think that is all.
Thank you,
that's
John.
all. Thank you very much, John.
I now put the question that the report of the Committee on Defense and Internal Affairs and the security situation in the districts of Moroto, Kabong, and Abim be adopted. Those in favor say aye to the content. The ayes have it. Honorable colleagues, we shall receive an action taken report in 3 months, and we shall take it on from there to do an audit of the implementation of recommendations. Next item.
Item 6. Motion for adoption of the report of the Committee on Health on the oversight visit to assess the status of health services in Northern Region.
Thank you. I think we received this report, so we were, Chair, is this the report we received? Yeah. We were just remaining with the debate.
Thank you, Right Honourable Speaker and colleagues. This report was presented where in Gulu, and we did part of the discussion. I think it was just a continuation.
Yes.
Thank you, Right Honourable
we
Speaker.
had a few we wanted.
Thank you, Right Honourable Speaker.
Because I had more members and they were saying you've not given us a chance, and I said no, we carry the debate and conclude from Kampala. But I don't know, Honourable Minister, you wanted it, is there any clarifications you had come up with regarding the same that we can conclude it well?
Thank you so much, Right Honourable Speaker. Right Honourable Speaker, Honourable colleagues, I want to thank the committee for a very comprehensive, well-outlined report, which has covered the northern region on the status of the health services there. Right Honourable Speaker, colleagues, as you have said, I have read through the report, and I have seen that much of the recommendations from the committee and the observations were spelled out, and as a ministry, much of the recommendations dwell on the financing, sufficient funds. And most of the issues that have been raised are recommendations that as government, as a ministry, that there is urgency in ensuring improvement, enhancement of health facilities in the northern region. Right Honourable Speaker, some areas where the recommendations are administrative, I take and pledge that as a ministry, we shall administratively address them. I thank you.
Thank you. Honourable colleagues, why we didn't conclude it, the minister wasn't, and we wanted that component. Otherwise, no. Honourable colleagues, I now put the question that the report of the Committee on Health on the oversight visit to assess the status of health services in northern region be adopted. Those in favour say aye to the content. The ayes have it. We shall extract the recommendations, and we expect an action taken report in 3 months. Colleagues, I'm thinking we receive the report on education in northern Uganda, then we discuss it the next day. But they present it now, so that you have enough time also to read through, and we prepare for a debate tomorrow on it. Procedure, Honourable Gilbert Oranya.
Thank you, Right Honourable Speaker. Right Honourable Speaker,
the procedural point I wanted to raise. When we were in Gulu, there were many matters that were raised concerning health. And I recall you guided well that the minister was absent by that time. I really feel, Honorable Speaker, if it is okay, let the minister respond to those concerns. For example, we raised about the absence of drug in Gulu Regional Referral Hospitals.
But Honorable,
yes,
I have given an opportunity to the minister, and that's what she has responded. So let's wait for an action taken report. And the report is already adopted. I've not denied the minister an opportunity.
Right, Speaker.
So we cannot reopen it.
You're right.
We can't go back.
But the other thing that are more urgent, right, Honorable Speaker. It is true there are others that can be solved over the long-term period. But there are other urgent issues. For example, the supply of drugs, whereby the National Medical Store should be supplying drugs, but in Gulu Regional Referral Hospitals, doctors only prescribe. All patients, they are sent away to buy drugs from outside. Those are very simple things that the minister can only direct.
I had asked for a statement last time, because every time colleagues talk about national drugs, not only in Guru, but also in other places. Okay? I think maybe monthly we receive a report here. We'll start receiving a monthly report on drugs delivered, so that when the MP, and it is shared with MPs. Honourable Minister, what do you think about that?
Thank you, Right Honourable Speaker. Right Honourable Speaker, I want to make the record clear that I had notified the office of the Right Honourable Speaker that I will be out of the country on official duty. So as my senior speaker, our colleague Honourable Margaret Mahanga went to Guru, and I think she also had permission. Now, Right Honourable Speaker, the only report we have received as a ministry is this one. Once the questions that were raised will track with the clerk, I shall come on this floor and respond to them. As of now, we have not received them. So once we get them, immediately, Right Honourable Speaker, we shall. Right Honourable Speaker, about the drugs, in this report, they were also raised up. I pledge that I will come on this floor and give a comprehensive report about national medical stores in accordance with the drugs supply. I thank you.
When do you think you can do that, Honourable Minister? How much time?
Next week.
Okay, thank you.
Thursday.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Chair, Committee on Education.
Mr. Speaker, this is a report of the Committee on Education and Sports on the state of selected public Just a moment, Mr. Speaker. Give me some 5 minutes.
Then I have to suspend the House.
So, Mr. Speaker, I beg to proceed. We have the minutes, and I think I will tender them in. The report of the Secretarial Committee on Education and Sports on the state of selected public universities, tertiary institutions, city schools, and public sports facilities in northern Uganda. In the introduction, Mr. Speaker, the Committee on Education and Sports was among the committees selected by the Right Honourable Speaker to undertake an oversight visit to the northern region to assess projects under their jurisdiction The northern region is composed of sub-regions of Acholi, Karamoja, Lango, and West Nile. And the government of Uganda attaches great importance to education and sports, as it plays a vital role in ensuring attainment of both social and economic transformation, as envisaged in the Uganda Vision 2040, NDP 3, and the NRM Manifesto. There are notable changes in the sector with the universal primary education and universal secondary education, in addition to higher learning institutions under BTVET and universities, all considerably supported by government and supplemented by other non-state actors countrywide. The committee therefore visited some selected primary schools, secondary schools, tertiary institutions, and public universities in the districts of Arua, Pakwach, Nebi, and Madiokolo in West Nile sub-region, Gulu district in Achol sub-region, Abim district in Karamoja sub-region, and finally Lira, Dokolo, Otuhe districts and sub-regions of Langu. The objectives of the visit, Mr. Speaker, the main objective of the visit was to ascertain the existence and status of development projects in selected traditional and city schools, tertiary institutions, and public universities in northern region. The specific objectives include was to ascertain the status of implementation and the progress of the U-Gift projects in selected schools, to ascertain the status and progress of development of infrastructure facilities in selected traditional and city schools. Now, the tertiary institutions and public universities, public universities. The third one was to ascertain the existence and state of Akibwa Stadium in preparation for AFCOM 2027 in the Lira city. Methodology we had, Mr. Speaker, was to achieve, in order to achieve the above objectives, the committee visited and held meetings with the district officials, tertiary and university top management teams, head teachers, and some members of staff of primary and secondary schools. 2, we inspected projects including ongoing construction works at the universities and tertiary institutions and schools. 3, we reviewed progress reports on status of infrastructure, construction works, policy reports, and academic performance reports, among other documents, prepared and presented to the committee. We reviewed previous reports by Parliament regarding matters of education in the northern region of Uganda. 5, we also visited Akibwa Stadium to ascertain the existence and the status of the stadium in the preparation of AFCOM 2027.
But Honorable Chair, we shall sleep here if you are to do this. I'll give you 10 minutes, summarize, members will
Thank
read.
you very much, Mr. Speaker.
The whole report will be captured on the answer.
On background, I think that one is highlighted. We can skip that. Okay, we can go to findings. 5, findings and observations and recommendations in West Nile sub-region. In West Nile sub-region of the northern Uganda, the committee visited districts of Pakwach, Nebi, Madiokolo, and Arua districts and inspected the following institutions and schools. Muni University in Arua district. In Muni University is one of the public universities in Uganda, which was established by the Uganda government by statutory instrument number 31, 2013, in accordance with the Universities and Other Tertiary Institutions Act. The university has established governance structure comprising a full-fledged council, senate, and their committees to run its affairs. Mr. Speaker, let's go to findings, because most people are eagerly waiting for the findings. But before findings, I think we should also look at the observations, whatever the committee observed. Now, in the first place, in Arua or Muni University, there are two buildings that have stalled for so many years. One of them is that we had the delayed completion of the health science lab building and administration block. Now, the committee observed that the contract for the completion of the construction of health of science lab building was signed between the Muni University and the Kissinger Construction Company Limited on the 13th of March 2019, and the groundbreaking ceremony and site handover was done on the 25th of the same month, and the actual work started on 3rd of May 2019, and due to COVID pandemic, the implementation of the project was delayed, and thus the construction elapsed on 25th of March 2022. However, the completion date was later revised by 2 years up to 24th of March 2024, but this was still not attained, and yet the work executed is only at 67%. Then the administration block annex. The committee observed that this construction project commenced on the 11th of April 22 and is expected to be completed on the 11th of October 2024, and yet the work executed is just at 55.5%. So the committee observed that the capacity of the building capacity, the capacity building center facility has some structural problems requiring immediate attention, like the lecture hall, which has developed cracks in its ceiling, which needs fixing. The dining hall has no ceiling, and repainting is needed for all of them. These defects affect effective delivery of services to the intended beneficiaries. 2, the committee observed that the university generally has inadequate office space for the faculty and departmental staff, considering the increase in enrollment of students, and this resulted into the allocation and use of lecture rooms to accommodate these offices of staff. And the committee observed that the university budget for capital development has stagnated for the past 3 years, making it difficult to complete the construction of the 2 multi-year development projects of the multipurpose health science lab and the administration block. This has affected space for lectures, labs, and offices for students and staff respectively, as illustrated below. Mr. Speaker and honorable members, I think that is on the board, given the budget. The next page has pictures of the infrastructure we're talking about. So committee recommendation on page 11. The committee recommends that the Ministry of Finance, Planning and Economic Development should consider availing funds for completion of the health science block and administration block annex.
Procedure, Honorable Mzari.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker, I'm looking at the front bench, which is mandated to respond to some of these concerns. I don't see the Minister for Finance. I don't see the Minister for Education. So would it be procedurally right that we proceed with this report? Yet the people who are mandated to respond to the concerns of members are not here.
Thank you. Honorable, if you listen to me earlier, I said the debate will be tomorrow. We are receiving the... I don't know whether you procedurally followed what I said. or you're legislating by rumor also. And suspicion, eh? So let's receive the report, since the responses are not coming today. But Honorable James, again, I'm remaining with 5 minutes.
Thank you. About Muni University, because it was a major issue, I'm concluding on Muni University. So before the Honorable Mzale intervened, we were saying that the committee recommends that the Minister of Finance, Planning and Economic Development should consider availing funds for completion of the health science block and the admin block annex and the construction and the annex building construction in order to create space to faculties in the existing administrative block and lecture space for that. So, Mr. Speaker, that was Muni University. And then after Muni University, we went to Alui Secondary School. Alui Secondary School is in Pakwach, and the committee had those observations. I think generally, Mr. Speaker, Alui Seed Secondary School is one of the best constructed schools in that region. That is what I can attest to that. So given those observations of Alui, that the committee observed that after the construction of Alui Secondary School, the population has surged. There are so many students. 2, the committee observed that the school has inadequate teaching and learning materials, such as learners' books, internet access, and so on and so forth. 3, the committee further observed that staff accommodation is grossly insufficient. So that was in as far as Alui Secondary School is concerned, and those are the structures. So we go to recommendations for Alui. The Minister of Education and Sports should provide additional staff to address the unattainable 1 to 100 teacher-learner ratio and meet the acceptable standard of 1 to 150, of 1 to 50, so as to improve the teaching effectiveness and curriculum execution. 2, the Minister of Education and Sports should provide additional essential educational resources such as learners' books and so on. 3, government should consider connecting Alui Seed to the national grid and enhance internet access, because they are just using solar. The other one is that the government should provide funds to construct additional.
Honorable, we've seen the seed schools.
Okay.
There are several seed schools. We can't
Okay.
go one by one.
Okay.
The issues are more or less the same.
So we conclude. Can we do? But Pawor, Mr. Speaker, Pawor is the opposite of Alui in Madokolo. It was just condemned on inception. It only has 80 students. It is in actually a game reserve. So it is something that the ministry should actually look at. And we also observed, and we even concluded that the mother district, Arua, should look for the contractor who is elusive. It was condemned, the buildings are sinking. That is as far as power is concerned. It is something that must be addressed, where the contractor is missing. So Arua mother district should actually look for it. That's what the committee concludes. Now, after Pawor, we went to Mamba. Mamba is another one in Nebi district. And for it, I think I'm not going to give the narrative, but briefly, for Mamba, there are so many buildings. I think it has a cost of 3.2 or 3.3 billion. It's a massive infrastructure, but the contractor is dragging his feet. We are told he has more than 3 sites. So it's very elusive and not related to time. I think they have gone on extending and extending. So something must be looked at that. So that is in as far as Mamba in Nebi district is concerned. Then the other one was after Mamba.
Chair, can you touch on other sub-regions?
Other sub-regions. Okay, so we can now go we can go. We have left West Nile, but of course the others like Arua and all that we shall go.
Honorable colleagues, you're going to read the report.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. So let's go to Karamoja, where we only looked at Abim as a sample. Teso is not part of Northern. Teso is not part of Northern. So just so let's go to, because let's begin with where we started from Lango. We started from Lango, and here we are going to Dokolo, where the other where private sector comes from. Yes. So by the third Dokolo, I've already reached Karamoja. So for Karamoja, we shall get back. In the Karamoja sub-region, the common...
Let me make it easier for you, Chairman.
Okay.
Read your conclusion, okay? We shall read the report. It's going to be captured. Crack, capture the whole report on the Hansard verbatim.
Thank you very much, Mr.
Then
Speaker.
We are going to read the report.
Thank you very much.
Let's use the private sector read methods of doing the business here.
Conclusion. But, Mr. Speaker, on page 65, there are those strong recommendations. And could you just allow me to summarize them?
Sure. Do.
Because first of all, what we discovered that generally, there is lack of human resource in these regions. And you get districts returning money. Pakwach returning 1.5, Arua returning 800 million, and then and Nebi 900 million for recruitment. So the committee, in its own wisdom, proposes that this money has no right to come back to the source. Let the Ministry of Education and Sports and even Education Service Commission be facilitated to go and do recruitment on site, because there is money, the people are there to be recruited, and I think it's something that the committee recommends, Mr. Speaker. And the issue of banning recruitment, I think that was done. So conclusively, Mr. Speaker, the field visit revealed critical challenges in educational infrastructure and resource management in the northern region. There is a general problem of contractors under UGIFT projects taking on more than 3 city schools, which are more than they can handle. This constrains them in performing effectively under the project. The committee noted that across the districts, money allocated for the wage bill was returned to the consolidated fund because of the ban on recruitment. Furthermore, the teachers who upgraded from grade 5 to graduate level still earn the same salary, and yet they are about to retire. There are many technical schools in the region without instructors and administrators. The above matters require serious and urgent attention from government. Similarly, Akibwa Stadium in Lira District or Lira City faces stalled development with poor facilities and management issues. Addressing these problems is essential for supporting AFCON 2027 preparations and enhancing educational outcomes. Effective collaboration between the Ministry of Education